Girls, what makes a guy creepy? From my experience living in a big city, it's not uncommon to encounter guys who seem to lack self-awareness and personal boundaries. One of the creepiest behaviors is when they follow you around public places or even follow you home intentionally, without realizing how unsettling it is. This can be particularly unnerving for girls, and it's definitely something that should be addressed. I can definitely relate to feeling creeped out by guys who don't seem to understand personal boundaries. I once had a friend who walked me home and continued to follow me even after we said goodbye multiple times. It would have been one thing if he had offered to walk me home, but his behavior was completely unwelcome and made me feel really uncomfortable. Sadly, this kind of thing seems to happen all too often, especially in big cities like where I live. It's incredibly creepy when a guy tells you personal details about yourself that you didn't share with him. At my old job, a guy I worked with mentioned that I took a different route to work one day and even knew my license plate number. He also tried to corner me in a room and kiss me, which was extremely uncomfortable and awkward, especially since he was married to my supervisor and I was his superior. As a new nurse, I wasn't comfortable in my role yet, and this behavior only made it worse. I had to ask my coworkers to keep him away from me and make sure he didn't follow me into rooms. It was definitely a very creepy experience that I never want to repeat. Dude, that's definitely crossing the line into restraining order territory. It's creepy when a guy can't respect your personal space and boundaries, even after you've made it clear that you want some time alone. I remember when I was younger, a guy who seemed really nice at first became really creepy to me because he wouldn't leave me alone even when I explicitly told him I needed space. It's a huge red flag when someone doesn't respect your boundaries, and it's important to get out of that situation as quickly as possible. No one should ever make you feel uncomfortable or unsafe in your own space. I had a really awkward experience with a guy who was much taller than me in a gas station, where he kept getting closer and closer to me even though I was trying to back away. He even cornered me against a wall and wouldn't let me leave until other people intervened. It's important for guys to understand that when a girl is trying to walk away or create some distance, it's not an invitation to follow or keep pursuing her. If a guy can't respect your boundaries, it's best to get out of that situation as quickly as possible. It's really creepy when you can tell that a guy is not looking at you like a human being, but like a trophy to be won. There's this guy I work with who always talks to me like he already knows everything about me and what I want. It's really annoying. Sounds like we have the same coworker. He's always making strange comments to me too, like assuming I have a husband and that he wouldn't let me do certain things. It's like he's trying to control my life or something. It's weird and makes me feel like he's not even seeing me as a person. It's really creepy when older men think that young women are interested in them sexually just because they're older. I've had to work with a few guys like that and it's super uncomfortable, especially when they start licking their lips while looking at young women. It's just gross and makes me want to avoid them at all costs. At my gym, there's this older guy who brags about his success on dating apps and his conquest with young women. He's really out of shape and talks about his amazing job prospects. But what really creeps me out is how he stares at every girl there, even the ones who are clearly much younger than him. It's just gross and uncomfortable. Getting too attached too fast can be a major red flag. It's okay to feel excited about someone, but when they start talking about marriage and children on the first date, it's a little concerning. Also, guys who invade your personal space without consent are creepy. Keep your hands to yourself, and if you're not sure if it's okay to touch someone, it's best to ask first. I had a similar experience with a guy in my neighborhood who wanted me to be his girlfriend within the first hour of meeting me. It was uncomfortable to say the least when I had to shut him down. And guys who try to touch you, like giving you shoulder rubs, without your permission are a big no-no. Personal space should always be respected. If you don't know a guy, some things that can make him seem creepy include staring at you for too long, making you feel uncomfortable, trying to hold your hand or touching you without your consent, insisting on showing you something or taking you somewhere, especially if it feels like a control tactic, touching you inappropriately, like on your belly, back, or near private parts, continuing to flirt with you even after you've rejected them or told them you're not interested, which shows a lack of respect for your boundaries. I remember when I was 18 and working at a cell phone store next to a massage studio, there was this older guy who would come in every week and ask about phone upgrades, even though he only made changes once a month. He offered me free massages multiple times, which was already creepy, but it got worse when we coincidentally ended up on the same bus for a training session and he held my hands between his until I had to get off. I felt so cornered and uncomfortable. Eventually, I had to get the security guard involved to tell him to back off. It's really creepy when older men try to make moves on younger girls, especially when they're clearly not interested. When a guy tries to make you feel better by telling you not to be scared, even though you never mentioned being scared in the first place, it can be really creepy. I remember one night I was walking home in a sketchy part of town and a drunk guy was walking behind me and started talking loudly and directly to me. I stopped to let him walk in front of me and he said, "You don't need to be scared." It just made me more scared and uncomfortable. Guys should realize that their actions and words can come off as creepy and make women feel uneasy. I've noticed that when I go out for a run at night, some women seem really scared and move out of my way quickly. I don't want to slow down and make it even worse, so I just keep going. But it's really unfortunate that women feel like they have to be afraid of strangers, especially when they're just trying to exercise. Not following social cues and etiquette can be a huge red flag. For instance, one time at the gym, I was doing some squats and noticed an older man staring at me. It made me really uncomfortable, but I tried to ignore it at first. However, every time I looked up, he was still staring. Finally, I got frustrated and asked if he needed anything, but he just kept staring and said no. I had to stop my workout and leave because I felt so uncomfortable. It's such a creepy feeling to have someone staring at you like that, especially when they won't take a hint and stop. I've had my fair share of experiences like this, and it's not cool. It's especially creepy when they stare at you while you're doing exercises that require you to bend over or squat. It's like they're trying to get a better view of your body, which is just disgusting. I had to switch to an all-girls gym because I was tired of feeling like I was performing for these perverted gym bros. Ignoring social cues is a major red flag for me. If I'm at a bar and someone is being chatty, I'll engage with them if I'm interested. But if I'm not, I'll give short answers and try to disengage. If someone keeps trying to talk to me after I've made it clear that I'm not interested, it can be very uncomfortable. Also, invading my personal space or asking me personal questions is a big no-no. Some men should learn to respect boundaries and understand when someone isn't interested in talking. There are a few things that make a guy creepy in my book. First, when he tries to steer any conversation towards sex in a creepy way. Second, when he doesn't respect personal space, even after you ask him to back off. Third, when he reacts badly to rejection by insulting or threatening you. Fourth, when he tries to control you, even if you're just friends. And finally, when he touches you without consent and then refuses to stop when you ask him to. I met this guy on OkCupid and we went on a date. But what made him creepy was that he kept commenting on my straightened hair multiple times in the 2 weeks leading up to the date. He would bring it up constantly, even though I didn't plan on straightening my hair for the date. After the date, he kept messaging me every day, asking for a second date and why I wasn't responding. It felt really controlling and uncomfortable. I eventually disabled my account, but when I came back, he had still been messaging me and asking why I disabled it. I had to block him because it was just too much. It's really scary when someone doesn't respect your boundaries and tries to control you. It's good that you got out of there when you could. One thing that makes a guy creepy is when he is overly polite and helpful to the point of making a big deal out of it. I had a semi-stalker at a former workplace who started out that way. He would bow through doorways, grab doors I already had open, jump out of the way even when he wasn't in the way, and always try to help even when I didn't need or want it. He sounded really formal and a lot of people didn't understand why I was uncomfortable around him. Eventually, they noticed his behavior, like following me around and staring, and he later focused on another girl once I got a new job. Now I'm wary of anyone who acts like that. In my opinion, the gentlemanly behavior that some people exhibit, especially those who call themselves nice guys, is often just a performance that lacks genuine kindness. While it is polite and courteous to hold doors open for others, it is not an extraordinary gesture that deserves a lot of attention. Some people, however, act as though they are doing a tremendous favor when performing these basic acts of kindness. Thanks for watching.